Have you ever found yourself searching for just the right word, knowing that one tiny choice could completely change what you're trying to say? Well, that's the magic, and sometimes the madness, of English phrasal verbs. Today, we're going to dive into some of the most common, and honestly, most commonly confused pairs, to really get a handle on those subtle differences that make all the difference. Okay, so let's start with a situation we've all been in. You're late, you're not moving. Cars are honking everywhere. How do you describe this? Are you being held up, or are you being held over? I mean, they both sound like you're delayed, right? But only one is correct here, and the other means something completely different.
And this is where we hit our first major distinction. Is it an unexpected delay, something getting in your way, or is it a planned postponement? One's an obstacle, the other is a decision. Let's really dig into what separates them.
So here's the key. To be held up means you've been stopped by an obstruction, a traffic jam, a roadblock, something totally out of your control. But to be held over means something has been postponed. It's a deliberate choice to reschedule it. So one is an obstacle and the other is part of a plan.
Let's see how this works in a sentence. The traffic held up our trip. See, that's the obstacle. But the meeting was held over until next week. That's a choice, a decision. You would never say the traffic held over your trip. So, back to our original question, when you're stuck in traffic, you're being held up. Simple as that. All right, now that we've finally gotten out of that traffic jam, let's switch gears. We're heading from the frustration of the freeway to the thrill of the racetrack, where every single move counts. Picture this. You're watching a race, it's neck and neck, and then one runner just goes for it. Do they break away from the pack, or do they pull ahead of their rivals? The words sound similar, but the picture each one paints in your mind is totally different. Okay, the crucial difference here is all about the kind of move it is. To break away is like an escape. It's sudden, it's explosive, it's a decisive action to create a big gap. On the other hand, to pull ahead is more of a steady advance, a gradual, determined effort to gain a little bit of ground and extend a lead.
So when you hear she broke away, you can almost feel that dramatic burst of speed, right? But when he pulled ahead, you imagine this grueling, hard-fought battle where he just slowly, inch by inch, gained that advantage. One is a sudden split, the other is a gradual grind to the front.
All right, from the intensity of the finish line, let's just chill out a bit. We're going to head to the backyard to look at a couple of phrases that are all about, well, just messing around. So you see a couple of friends just laughing and joking around. Are they goofing around or are they horsing around? Both of them definitely mean they're playing, but there's a really subtle difference in the energy and the kind of action that's happening. And a secret here is all about intensity. Goof around is just silly, lighthearted fun. It's usually pretty low energy, telling jokes, making funny faces. But horse around, that implies something rowdy and physical. It's rough, it's loud, it's way more energetic. Just think of the word horseplay. So, telling jokes instead of doing homework? Yeah, that's a perfect example of goofing around. But the second someone starts wrestling or chasing someone else, you've definitely crossed over into horsing around territory. It's the physicality that really makes the difference. Okay, for our last example, we're shifting gears one more time. And this time, things are about to get a lot more serious. We're leaving the playground and stepping into the world of a crime novel, where your choice of words, well, it can be a matter of life and death.
So, these three phrases all describe the same, very grim action. But you absolutely cannot use them interchangeably. Each one carries a completely different feeling, a different nuance about the motive, the method, and the overall tone. This is where language gets incredibly powerful.
Let's break this down. Take out sounds almost professional, doesn't it? It's clinical, detached, like a tactical operation. Then you have snuff out. That's so much more visceral and brutal, like you're violently extinguishing a candle flame. And finally, do in is much more informal, almost sneaky, suggesting betrayal or a clever method, like poison.
You can see how each phrase fits its context like a glove. A hitman is hired to take out a target. A ruthless dictator wants his enemies snuffed out. It's harsh and final. And the poisoner who did him in. That phrase just captures the sneaky, personal nature of the crime perfectly. The verb really does tell half the story. So after going through traffic jams, racetracks, and even a crime scene, what's the big takeaway here? Why should we even care about these tiny little differences?
Well, it really all boils down to this. Your words have incredible power. Choosing the precise phrase makes what you say clear and gives it real impact. That little bit of nuance is what adds color and personality to your communication. And ultimately, picking the right phrase just makes you a much more effective and much more interesting speaker and writer.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. What are those word twins, those phrasal verbs or tricky pairs that always make you pause for a second? Because just recognizing them is the first step. And understanding that subtle world of difference between them, well, that's the real key to mastering them.